Good morning. I thought I would do a sourdough from start to finish with you guys. Just an updated one. My last one was mostly starter focused, so now let's focus on the bread. If you're new here, hello, what's up? My name is Summer Penny. Welcome back to my channel. I like to do a lot of girly things, recipes, parties, hosting, just being extra. Whether that's cooking for my fiance, hanging around at home, doing my own makeup. I'm girly and I'm extra. I've got the kettle going, but this is Dolene, my starter. When you have active starter, so she needs to be fed, you could tell because she has tons of little bubbles on top. Let's see if this will focus. So a mature starter will rise in a few hours. It's currently 7:30 a.m. I'm gonna do a dump, a feed, and then this afternoon I should be able to make her for the bread concoction. So when I do a dump, I literally just come to the garbage and literally trash it. You can use this for recipes or to like give to a friend or just, throw it out. I literally just eyeball, okay, it looks like I threw out more than half. You only need a little bit left in the jar. So now I'm gonna keep this. I'll even scrape the sides down. Now I recommend that you jot down the weight of your empty jar somewhere. And I'm gonna look and like, okay, so 1,046 with my starter in it. Hey Google, what's 1,046 minus 647? All right, so Google told me I need to add, or Google told me that I have 300 and something left of starter in here. That means I need to feed it 300 and something of flour and 300 and something of water. That is a lot for the small amount of baking that I'm doing. I'm not a huge bakery. I don't need all that starter. So I would continue to dump and dump and dump until you only have about 150 of starter remaining. I just find 150 is a nice feeding ratio. It gives you enough starter with a little bit extra left over. It's not too much. Now I'm gonna tear the scale, making it 0, and I'm gonna add 260 grams of all-purpose flour. I like to use like a warm tap water, not hot, because the only thing that could kill your starter is heat. I like a chopstick. You can use anything to get down there and stir. So this is what it looks like stirred. You can see it's very thick. It's thicker than a pancake batter. Not grainy, but like a little slightly clumpy at times. And so the water is gonna hydrate the flour. And the starter that was already in there is gonna eat away at the sugars from the flour, letting it rise. So now that it's stirred, you can mark it with an elastic band or a dry erase marker. And you wanna mark where it is sitting right now so that you can see when it rises if it is doubled in volume. You know your starter is ready to bake with when it is doubled in volume and is very gassy, bubbly, and airy on top. Then I place her in the oven with the light on. That's just what my girl likes. And I'll keep an eye on her. Just showing you it's 1:30. This is how much she has risen. Okay, it's 2:45. Here's how she looks. Turn it around. So we're pretty close to double in volume. The light is kind of making it difficult to see. Doubled in volume, this is how it looks on top. Very bubbly, domey, so when it's still domed, you can let it proof a little longer. When it starts to look cratery, like this is, that's kind of when it's at its peak. So now it's ready to use for bread. 100 grams of starter for 1 loaf of sourdough. I'm gonna make a couple loaves, so I'm gonna do 100 grams into a couple bowls. So this is how the dough should look. It's very wet and sticky. That is just the type of hydration a sourdough is. I think it's like a 75 to 85% hydration. There's some math involved to it, but if you want to avoid the stress in the math, just copy the recipe that I attach in the caption. Very simple. Now we're gonna do a series of stretch and fold. So I'm gonna put saran wrap and a teak towel over this, put it under my stove, likely with the light on, and every half hour to 45 minutes, we'll do a series of stretch and folds. Don't worry, I'll show you how. All right, I'm back, and as you can tell, I had a shower. So it's been a little bit over half an hour. I had the 3 separate loaves to make. It was the same concoction, same recipe, just 3 separate bowls for the 3 different loaves. So now we're gonna do something called stretching and folding. And as you do these stretches and folds, you'll see that it just becomes this smooth, glossy dough. You're gonna wanna wet your hands for this. Flick off the excess water. Pick up the corner of your dough, stretch and fold. Turn your bowl a quarter and repeat the process until you've done all 4 sides of the bowl. And that is 1 round of stretching and folding. Wait 30 to 40 minutes and we'll do it again. Hard to do without a second hand to hold the bowl. Process of stretching and folding is what gives the bread gluten or creates gluten, which is the air pockets and bubbles that we love and look for in sourdough. So this is how the garlic looks after it's been roasted. I'm doing a garlic and rosemary sourdough, getting those winter flavors going. So I'm gonna squish this into the bowl, and that's what's so cool about the confit. See? This just squeezes right out. Ah. It's kind of like popping a zit. I love it. Now I'll mash up the garlic before adding some sprigs of rosemary, and then I'll incorporate this into our 3rd and final stretch and fold. So again, wet your hands, and we're gonna do the same. Sorry, trying to film and do it. Handheld tripod. All right, I literally shaped all of these and I completely forgot to record all of it. Love that for me. But you can look up how to shape a loaf. You do it one way for a circle, one way for an oval. Now I'm gonna do what I call like pinching. So I'm gonna, pull from both sides, and it creates surface tension on the dough so that you get a good score and rise. To cover them with a tea towel, and then they'll go here in the bannetons under the stove light overnight. Nice and tucked. So this is a banneton. So this is a rubber retractable one, but other ones are wicker basket material. This is what the bread proofs in. Good morning, it's the next day. We are going to finally bake the bread. We're going to preheat the oven, preheat our Dutch oven. So now this is how one of them looks after proofing overnight. You want to do a poke, a little gentle poke. See how it springs back right away? That means it's proofed enough. If you poke it and it sinks in and stays in, you've overproofed it, which means it's just gone kind of soupy inside and it'll be a flat loaf. So this is a temperamental process. You want it to be proofed, but not overproofed. And it's better to underproof something than overproof it. Now you can also see that my bread, didn't rise the full way. Every loaf is different. Like my loaves, because of the amount of flour I use, they stay around this big. They will bake taller, but this is just as big as they get. But now what I like to do is pop it in the freezer while the Dutch oven preheats. And that only stays in the freezer for like 30 minutes. I find this helps a lot with your scoring. A couple things. The loaves that you are not currently baking, like the ones, because you can only bake 1 loaf at a time, put those in the fridge. The fridge stops the fermentation process, the proofing process. So we don't want those loaves to overproof, so we're gonna put them in the fridge to prevent that from happening while we cook 1 loaf at a time. You're gonna want some flour for shaping, for scoring on top and for making things not stick. This is what is called a bread sling. You could use parchment, a reusable mat, whichever, but you want something that to put your bread on that you can then pick up and transfer it into your Dutch oven. This is a bread lane. So this is like a handle and the blade itself. This is what you use to score and carve your bread. I usually change my blade out every few scores just because I sometimes do intricate designs and I want crisp lines. All right, this is my semi-frozen. These are great beginner bannetons, but I would like to invest in like the proper wicker ones. But I have these linked on my Amazon. They're perfect for anyone like just starting their sourdough journey. You just gotta be mindful when it comes out. You don't want to have it stick and then ruin. So just delicately peeling it off. All right, now that you have it out, I'm taking some all-purpose flour and I'm dusting this on the top. Also note that whatever color flour you put on top is the type of score you're gonna have on your bread. So if you want like that white bread picture, then use white flour. But you could also use purple sweet potato flour, giving it a purple look. You can mix a little bit of the purple with some white all-purpose and make pink. I think there's even black and brown. I don't know if they use cocoa powder or coffee bean or what, but now I'm gonna take some floss and I'm gonna line where I want my pretty design. I have a vision, okay? That's all you need to know. Now it goes in the oven at 500 for 20 minutes with the lid on. I like to bake it with another tray underneath it so that the bottom of my crust doesn't get too brown and hard. Tricks of the trade. It takes a couple times to just bake and see what happens, honestly. So for my oven, this works for me. For your oven, try without a tray, see if it gets too brown. Add a tray, see if you like it better. But I bake for 20 minutes with the lid on at 500, then turn it down to 475, lid off, and another 20 minutes. We're also gonna do something called the 10-minute score. You can do it at 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. Again, it's like that temperamental, see how your bread looks along the way. But an expansion score is that one deep cut into the bread that helps it get that beautiful crisp ear and that beautiful rise. Oh, so fun. It's like the best part of sourdough. So my oven, I do like a 7 to 10 minute score. So you saw how flat she looked going into the Dutch. Just wait. Time for the big reveal. And she's flat. That's okay, because we haven't done the expansion score yet. That is a 7 minute. I'm gonna wait a couple more. All right, expansion score time. You just take the blade, shove her in. Voila. Now back to baking. Ta-da! So pretty. Now we turn it down and bake for another 20 with the lid off. All right, this is how she looks fresh out the oven. So this is called an ear, and this is a sign of a good bread. Usually I might not have cut deep enough, but if I had cut deep enough, it would have really puffed up and is a sign of a perfect or a sign of a good loaf. So you want to look for this beautiful ear. You can use your bread sling to take your bread out and put it on a rack. How beautiful. I'll show you how the circle loaf turns out as well, but right now we're gonna pause so I can go to the dentist. All right, this is the everything bagel and cheddar, one of the garlic and rosemary, and the other garlic and rosemary. It was such a good day, so much fun baking. I hope you guys learned some things. I hope I answered any questions you had. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Bye!